saw last night that you caught Judas and the Black Messiah. Can you elaborate
Yes.
on your experience and your overall thoughts to start out?
Yeah. This was a movie that I didn't see coming, but I'm so glad it came. Um, I've heard the story of Fred Hampton. I've heard the story of the Black Panthers. Through my undergrad years in my fraternity, we made it. They made it a point to teach us, about Black history, to teach us about the platform of the Black Panthers, to teach us about how the Black Panthers were systematically destroyed. Um, and this movie's depiction of those events, it really it broke my heart. But before I get into that, I just want to say that Daniel Kaluuya, this man is a phenomenal actor. The way he was able to portray Fred Hampton and what he was able to do it on screen was just incredible. You can see based on his portrayal of the character why the FBI was so afraid. You could see why through what they depicted in the movie, via his actions, his ability as an orator to just inspire people, his ability to connect people, his ability to his drive and desire to work within the community to fill and figure out the needs of the community. It was second to none, and it was just really, really breathtaking. And then Keith and his performance was incredible as well, because it was a man just kind of caught up by circumstances who allowed himself to just be used and without really questioning anything that he was doing. And he never questioned, or the questions that he put in himself, he dismissed because of pressure and the fact that he was kind of forced into it by an FBI agent, and all of, as well as trying to be personally gratified, and just the story that the movie portrayed. I really feel like they did a great job of paralleling the story by the title of the name and the story of the events, in terms of calling it Judas and the Black Messiah, and thinking about what I know about Jesus Christ and how he came up and really tried to free and liberate the people, and was ultimately assassinated. Not assassinated, but was crucified and was betrayed by Judas. And the movie just struck me at several levels that we can get into. What
Right.
was it like for you?
It was excellent. I guess I'll just say spoiler alert from going forward, because we're going to get into some plot details. That was obviously just a overall summary of your feelings of the movie itself. But yeah, I can't really say it any better, man. It was a story that I knew and I was familiar with, and obviously we're both familiar with how the story ends. But to see it played out in detail, it gives a certain gravity to the feelings, to the decisions that these people made, and to the situation at large. And yeah, I guess we can get into performances, because yeah, Daniel Kaluuya, especially like as a fellow actor, like I knew going into the movie how incredible he was. I think that he's one of the best actors out right now. I think that he's incredible. Like his characterizations are second to none. But watching him embody Chairman Fred Hampton was amazing. It was amazing to watch his speech patterns and the way that he carried himself, and the way that he would even include like that little Chicago stutter from here and there. It
Yeah.
really gave like this, it really helped create like a three-dimensional character, which is all you want to do as an actor, is to give this person depth, is to make this person feel like they could be a real person. I think that he was incredible in that role. Like watching his speech, you know, that town hall essentially where he was talking to the rest of the groups that he had assembled over the course of the movie, like it was incredible. Like he was completely locked in. You could see
Yeah.
his dedication and his commitment to the role, and like basically in every frame. So
Right.
that was incredible to watch. And then also
It was.
yeah, and Lakeith as well. I think Lakeith was really, really great. Um, you could see how conflicted he was throughout the entire movie, even though his character is not a good person by
Yeah.
any stretch of the imagination. Like he makes you feel for someone that is continually almost acting in self-interest, like time and time
Right.
again. But it makes you empathize with a selfish character.
Yeah. You know, I
And
think he let himself be used as a vessel and a vehicle of um someone else's what intentions, and that was that he portrayed that so well. He portrayed that desire to really just, or he portrayed that, like you said, that conflict, that internal conflict, as well as the lack of self-determination and the lack of agency. You know, that was really subtle but powerful. How, to me, that's one of the things I read from his performance. And sorry, please continue.
yeah, it's just it spoke to so many things, and there's a million different things that you can talk about with this film. But the biggest thing, you can give me your biggest takeaway as well. I'm curious, but my biggest takeaway was the power of narratives. I think that our education, especially when it comes to elementary, middle, and high school, is severely lacking in diversity, especially when it comes to talking about people of color. So many of us, like, we learn so much after we graduate, and we learn about these figures that are very important to the way that we live our lives today. And Fred Hampton and, you know, the Black Panthers as a whole are a large part of that.
Yeah.
But the narrative that the FBI agent speaks to, as he portrayed the Black Panthers as the Black version of the Klan. And
Right.
that narrative has persisted until now. I remember a few years ago, Beyonce catching flack for having a Black Panther aesthetic at the Super Bowl, and people being up in arms and not understanding what the organization was really about. Like, it was primarily about self-defense, defense against a force that still exists today that is, you know, disenfranchising our people. So it was good to see a full-fledged, or as much as full-fledged as it could be in the context of being told from the perspective of William O'Neill, but a
Yeah.
full-fledged depiction of what this organization represented and how important it was uh, for how important they were, excuse me, for their community, especially like with when it comes to children and when it comes to changing how Black people are perceived, and like giving us a sense of community that we may not have had. Like, you can, and they're the effect that they had on the Chicago community is still felt to this day. I remember hearing a interview with Isaiah Thomas, you know, Hall of Fame point guard, you know, bad boy Piston, saying that he was one of the kids that went to free breakfast.
Wow.
So like, and not just because, not saying that sports are overly important or anything, but just someone who has that level of stature and that importance now in his own community, because he is an activist in many ways. But to see how activism in his youth affects him now, like, it literally fed him. It fed not only his activism from a theoretical standpoint, but it actually physically fed him so that he could be able to go on and do the things that he did as an adult. So that was really touching to me. I
Yeah.
wanted to also yeah, ask you again, what was your overall takeaway from the film itself?
Um, so I had a lot of overall takeaways. There's two that I'm going to primarily talk about. The first is the trope of, um, you know, the Black Messiah being Fred Hampton, and how the movie did an exemplary job of portraying a messianic figure coming up in the Black community, providing the needs and the guidance, and just really seeing himself as a force of good for the people that needed it so badly. You know, the fact that he was so young, he was 21 years old, as well read and as well understood of history, that the understanding of history and of society and of the world that he had at that age was just striking to me. And him being there for the people, literally being there on the ground, being a unifying force for the people, Jews and Gentiles alike. That concept that I saw embodied, putting the people before himself and uniting the people, no matter who they are. That's one scene where he goes into the poor part of the poor white part of town of the Illinois area and talks to the people who are congregating and is, you know, telling them like, yeah, you know, your education system is just as bad as mine. Your poverty is just as bad as ours. We are in this together, and uniting them, you know, and then going to the Latino area with the young lords and uniting them and bringing them apart. His ability to unite, his ability to dismiss his ego and to dismiss gang affiliations and to dismiss all of that and say, we have power in numbers, we have power in unity, was like something to behold. And it was also something that was ultimately a threat. And that's why they felt the need that, no, this guy has too much power, he has too much influence. And what he's saying is too revolutionary. You know, that statement that he was making somewhere in the beginning of the movie about you know, you got to fight, you can't fight, you know, capitalism with Black capitalism, you got to fight capitalism with socialism. Now, you know, you can get into a debate about as to which is better, socialism and capitalism, but the way he was thinking was unlike anyone else of that time who was trying to figure out the best way forward for Black people in America. And that was something that just they realized in the Chicago community, and the powers that be realized that this is someone who we can't let spread their message. Otherwise, he could usurp a lot of power that we hold. And just to finalize the point, and one of the biggest takeaways I took from it was, it wasn't white people that took him out. It was a power structure that did not want to be challenged that took him out. And he was for uniting the people. And it showed that, you know, through his interactions, that the people are my primary focus. My people are also my primary focus, but the people, and figuring out and doing what's best for us as a collective, as opposed to maintaining the status quo. And that was really something that that was a powerful message that I took.
Right. Yeah. Just to, I guess we can close the conversation with the ending. Obviously, it's even though you know it's coming, it's one of like recently the hardest things to watch, because it's not only the death of like a great person and, you know, potentially a great father, but it's watching almost the death of a dream, you know. It's the movie left me with this feeling of like wanting, like, what if he wasn't killed? And we can ask that with so many Black revolutionaries, unfortunately. It's just, what if he wasn't killed? What if the Black Panthers were allowed to flourish? And in not only in Chicago, but in other communities, because, you know, obviously going down through history, we have so many things that are damaging to the well-being of Black people, including, you know, things like crack and inner city violence and so a host of other issues that are symptoms of the disease of a power structure that is designed to keep us in a certain place. But yeah, just to close it, I can only just wonder what would have happened if the ending of the movie and if the ending of his life was different. So yeah, but overall, like we both, you know, reiterated, excellent film, highly
Yeah.
recommend, and a story that needed to be told.